Hey everybody, and welcome back to the last and third part of this series. In this part I want to make some final adjustments, work on the color specifically and make some light adjustments, and I want to bring in some more elements here because I thought it would be nice to have a tree here in the middle part of the image. So I'm on MyADK here. It's a nice website and they have lots of free cutout trees that you can use in your images. And I like this one very much and want to place it here in our scene. Yeah, and I don't want the tree to hide anything from the building or from the interior, so I need to find the right position for that. Something like this could work. Make some transforms. And obviously now the trunk is too short, so right now it hovers over the ground, so we need to edit the tree, and I'm just going to mask out the trunk now, and then we're going to make a copy from the tree and scale it up and bring it back together. So let me mask that out, and with Command J you can make a copy, and we can scale this one up quite a bit to something like that. And now I just need to cut out the stem here, the trunk, and we're going to make a copy from that and going to make a smart object. And now we can bring those two parts back together, and yeah, you can see we are not restricted to any cutouts or anything literally, so we can edit, of course, and scale things up and make it work. So now I realized I need to flip it horizontally because the light is coming from the left side, and yeah, now it works. So let's bring it into a group and assign the right color, of course. And I want to make it a bit darker. I think this way it matches the other trees, and this one in the back I thought would be nice to scale it a bit up so that these three trees that you instantly recognize are in balance, kind of. Alright. So now I'm working a bit more on the foreground, so therefore I'm bringing in this Meadow here, and I want to place it in the foreground of our image. So we can bring it up all the way up, and yeah, I think we could bring some more variety here in the foreground, make it look a bit more interesting, and also match it a bit better with the background. So let's just grab one of the Meadow brushes, bring the opacity up to 100%, and find the right size for the brush. So maybe like this. Alright, now we can of course use different brushes to give this mask a nice variation, I mean, and to make it look more natural. Alright. So now I want to make it a bit darker, just to give this image kind of a vignette. So also I want to bring it a bit more into the yellowish range of things to match the other green tones. Alright, and also for the lawn, let me first bring this into the right group here. Alright, so now for the lawn, I want to also bring it a bit more to the yellowish side of things. And now I want to make, just want to create kind of a cover up here for this newly introduced tree, because right now it stands there a bit lost on this lawn. So let's bring in a bit, kind of a cover up here. So just paint in some of those meadow parts here. Of course, we can use different brushes for that to create a nice looking mask. Alright, so now I want to make some light adjustments for that part. So you should already know the technique for that. Going to introduce some shade here. And also for the lawn that sits underneath this meadow, we would need to introduce some shade here, some shadow. Alright, like that. Looks nice. Alright, so I want to make... Now I start to look a bit more on the color. And for this tree, I think we can also bring the greens a bit more into the yellow range. And I think this lacks some contrast, so I'll punch in some contrast for this meadow. Alright. Let's call this cover up and put it here in this folder. Alright, so I want to bring in another tree. We won't see too much of it. Just want to place it here on the left side to break up visually a bit the focus here on this existing building. So just want to introduce this. Yeah, it's kind of a noise composition wise, so just thought it would be nice to have something there. And now I'm using the eyedropper tool to grab some yellow tone here from the sky and make a new layer here, put it on screen, and with a very soft brush I am painting in some, let's call it haze, atmospheric fog kind of. And I want to bring down the opacity quite a bit So it's just a touch, but yeah, it brings together the background a bit, and also we create a bit of depth. So now I'm using this lens flare. It's from Lens Distortions. Sometimes I think they're useful, and you can see what happens if I put it on screen. Yeah, we are able to use it as a sunlight flare, and of course we don't want to overdo this effect, but just to introduce some more yellowish tones on the back plate here, I'm just gonna use it very slightly, so something like that maybe. All right. So what it also does is it decreases the contrast on the background, kind of. So it's not as strong. Soften things out. All right. Let's call this lighting. Okay, so next step, I'm going to use the ID pass to select this part from the existing facade, and I want to bring down the saturation a bit. So I don't want to have the blues so strong, kind of. And also for the roof of the museum, I want to bring down the saturation quite a bit. Okay, so you can see now we're starting to work on the color correction. Also for the beams here, I want to bring down the saturation and also make them a bit darker to create some kind of contrast here, but not color-wise. I want to have this not so much in a focus here. All right, so now I want to check the levels for our image, and as you can see, we just need to make some adjustment here. Since you can see we don't use the full range. All right, so also I want to bring in some overall contrast. So now you can see why it matters to bring all the assets and photos to a common ground, kind of. So now we can make some overall adjustments. And now I'm making use of the selective color adjustment filter, and with this we can, for each color, the reds and now the yellows, we can play around with it, have fun with it actually. So this is a matter of taste, and I have my own preference when it comes to colors, like each artist. And yeah, you can just play around with it, or if you have a reference you want to work towards, you can also adjust things according to your reference. Yeah, I just like to play around with it and look what works, and also like, yeah, it's just experimenting and find out what what the image needs maybe. So obviously there's a contrast in the image between this yellow-ish part of the building and the existing blue tones. So, and I like to make the blues a bit less important, kind of. And also I can use a hue saturation and use this eyedropper tool to select all the greens and bring down the opacity a bit for the greens. All right. Also, I'm going to use the curves to bring up the overall brightness for the midtones. All right. So now let's put a gray layer again here and put an overlay. And now with a very big soft brush, I want to bring in some, paint in some darker areas here. So as I told you before, I want to create a kind of a vignette here for the image. So to bring the focus more on the museum, so your eyes will naturally be drawn to the brighter parts, and I want to enhance that a bit with this vignette. And yeah, let's call this light and overall adjustments. Okay, let's bring in some color balance. This is also something I quite often do. So I'm increasing the blues for the highlights and the warmer tones for the shadows. And this creates kind of a tonal contrast in the image. And I like that for daylight scenes. So all right, I've noticed it's a bit too bright here for my taste, so I'm selecting the windows and I want to bring down the brightness just a touch so that it doesn't look overexposed. All right, this looks better, I think. So now for the selective color, I'm using this mask, and I don't want it to be applied on all areas of the image. So for the foreground, I don't want to have this. I want to leave the green a bit more cool, because it's in the shade. So, and now yeah, I'm bringing in this screenshot from the 3D scene where I placed two 3D people. This is just for me to check if we bring in some cutouts, what scale they should have. So of course you can eyeball this, but it wouldn't be the first time to mess up the scale of the cutout people for me. So I'll just try to be in the safe side and use this reference for that. Okay, but before I'm bringing in the cutouts, I thought I'm going to work a bit more on the hues of that blue facade here on the left. So just gonna use a selective color and play a bit more on the blues, and also for the greens here, or the yellows, I thought it would be nice. I think it looks very nice to put the environment or the greens also a bit more into a yellowish range. So I'm gonna do that. And I'm gonna mask out, I'm gonna use the mask. So if I really exaggerate it a bit more, and bring in the mask or make it black, and I only want to paint in where the light hits some more yellows. Alright, so finally can bring in some cutouts, and I just want to bring in those two, and they will be inside the building. And yeah, generally I'm looking for cutouts that match the lighting, and also I like that there's a contrast. So if I put them in here, and yeah, it's kind of a bluish cutout. So we have some contrast between the yellows and the blues again. And yeah, story-wise, I don't want to introduce some kind of fake story here, but just want to give the scene some scale. And yeah, also thought it would be nice to have a younger and an older cutout age-wise. So that represents kind of the idea of the two buildings. So we can grab the window ID to mask them. So yeah, that's the easiest part to place interior cutouts. So we can just use the window mask for that. And yeah, for her, I'm gonna mask out just the bottom part. All right. So let's find a nice spot. So maybe those two are looking at this interesting old ancient wheel here. So yeah, this is okay. All right. So we need to find a way to put in the reflections on top of those. So we can just use the reflection pass, make a copy from it. I'll always leave the original passes in the folder and make a copy if I need something to work with. So let's put it on screen, and now you can see now they look like they're inside the building because the reflection is on them. And we can play a bit more around with the position here, and we can start to work a bit more on the colors and the contrast. So typically the skin tones we can desaturate a bit. So you can pick that with the eyedropper tool and bring the skin tones a bit down. And then same as before, we're just going to use some burn and dodge to work on the lighting. So should come more from the left side, and the right side should be a bit darker. So of course there's not only sunlight inside the room, it's also artificial light coming from the top, so we can also increase the brightness here on the top of those people, so on the head. And yeah, but this is just, there's not really rules for that. I'm just eyeballing and looking what looks good and make it fit into the image. So we can brighten up those parts to make this cutout stand out a bit more. All right, that looks nice. So let's get rid of this guide. All right, so now as a last thing I want to adjust, let's bring the check filter on. I think the greens here for the foreground, also all the parts that are in the shadow, we should make them even more blue to make it more to give this parts more contrast. So there should be a difference between the parts that are in the sun or are lit and the ones that are in the shadow. So I'm decreasing the saturation quite a bit and make the mask black, and now paint in some of those more bluish looking areas or desaturated parts. Alright, so let's make another hue saturation and switch on the colorize function and put it to blue and put down the opacity of the layer. So it's just like a blue overlay, and I want to directly pinch it on the Meadows and grass group here. Alright, okay guys, this was the last adjustment I wanted to make on the image. Of course you can play around even more, experiment, put in some more cutouts or do whatever you like with the image. For me it was much fun. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon for the next tutorial here on the channel. See you guys.